Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo O. Yeah, that's my name. I'm about an hour early, by the way, in the devotion. Usually I do them at 9, but today I'm kind of running a little bit more early because we have the conference. Sorry about the light situation. I'm kind of trying to figure that out on the fly. There we go. That's a little better. Anyway, hope you're doing good. My name's Bo Willette, and these are my morning devotions that I do, and I get to just do them live. And I go through the Bible in my devotions. That's kind of how I've always done it. For me, it answers a lot of questions on God and God's dealing with human beings when you just simply go through the scriptures and kind of read through them. And this is a devotion style, so I don't do a huge Bible study or nothing. I just kind of go through it and pull out kind of what the applications are. So I got my wonderful Hockey Ministries International hat on, which I love, and love working with hockey players. And, you know, my background, I have a French-Canadian whole side of my family. And so, hockey's always been a big part of my world. And so I don't know if you have a sport like that's kind of a family sport that's you've been involved in, but that's a little bit of my background. Even though, growing up in Southern California, my parents came from Maine, so, coal country. And so hockey always stayed with, especially my old man. So I used to go to the Los Angeles Kings hockey practices when I was a kid. It was great, just hanging out with my dad, who spoke French Canadian, and so he could get with guys like Marcel Dion and other players like that and speak French with them. It was very cool. Anyway, Marcia, thanks so much for your encouragement. And man, it was a wonderful time to teach Romans 12 yesterday at the fellowship. That was a blast. So, okay, we're in Proverbs. We're in a book where parents talk to their kids. And that's really what it is, right? But it's good for us adults as well. So don't get to thinking you're beyond the proverb, right? No way. This is some good stuff for us. And so we've gone through all of the Old Testament up to Proverbs. And then we've gone through the New Testament. So that's all archived on my YouTube page. And just go to YouTube, Bo Willette. And you could type that in the search bar, and we can be ready to go. And you can listen. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into this. It says, the king's heart is like a stream of water directed by the Lord. He guides it wherever he pleases. So this one kind of speaks to me this morning just about sovereignty, trusting God. The king's heart is like a stream of water directed by the Lord. So maybe God, is directing things, and I'm just not quite believing that, And that can be true. Sometimes you don't like your leadership, and so you kind of get kind of bummed at that. And not really maybe trusting this proverb that says, hey, you know what? God's got a plan in this. And, God's plan is coming to pass. It's interesting. You read the book of Revelation, and you get kind of towards the end of that book. If you remember, we went through that in a devotion style. And it's kind of weird, but you kind of, it talks about God has, this is all coming to pass by God's sovereign hand, his plan. And you kind of get to that place. It's towards the end of the book, last few chapters, but you kind of go, whoa, that's right. Even the Antichrist, doesn't thwart God's plan. So I need to trust that. God's got a purpose and he's got a plan. And he can direct those politicians, where they need to be and, to fulfill that plan. It's not Bo's plan. And I got to remember that. It's not Bo's plan. It's not your plan. It's God's plan. People may be right in their own eyes, but the Lord examines the heart. Oh, so true, right? God, examining your heart can be very difficult. That's why for me, I have to do a lot of writing just to kind of pull out, all the yuck that's in there. I might think I'm doing the right thing, but really my motivations are really off. And so for me, I have to kind of, ask the Lord to search that heart, and you might need to as well. Hey, Lord, search me, right? The Lord is more pleased when we do right and what's just than we offer him these sacrifices. So that's kind of a cool proverb, right? You can just get in the motion of doing for God and not really do things that are really right and just. It sounds like an offering would be a just thing to do, right? It's required by the law, right? I mean, Solomon knows that the law says, bring the sacrifice, to, the temple, to the tabernacle. That's how we draw near. Offering means to draw near to God, for this atonement. But sometimes you can just kind of, here we go again, I got to come to the Lord again, kind of attitude. And you kind of you kind of fall out of the line of really learning to do things that are right. And, we always just want to be kind of honest about, doing the right thing, being just, And so really, again, an examination of our heart, our life. Haughty eyes are proud, and evil actions are sin, right? That haughty, proudful heart, right? And it says, good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. Oh, man, this is good for all of us that love the shortcut, right? Sometimes you just need to plan and take it one step at a time, and it comes out great instead of wanting always that shortcut. Get it done quick, right? Schemes. Get money quick schemes. Gosh, I sure, in my 20s, man, I sure biffed it in a lot of those ones. You just make bad financial decisions. You think it's going to be the quick, this is the investment that's going to make you $7 million or something, right? And it doesn't happen. You learn not to be hasty. And that's something to think about today. God, help me not rush. Help me not be hasty. Wealth created by a lying tongue is a vanishing mist and a deadly trap. That's something for our world, isn't it? Wealth created by a lying tongue. Sometimes it bothers me when I think of all the collusion that goes on in our world with people that are in the know. People know what's going to happen. They know what to invest in. Why? Because they're kind of the ones pushing things. So they kind of have an inside idea. It kind of bothers me that those people are even given the opportunity to invest. It just seems wrong. It seems like if you know something's going to make money and you have the power to make sure it makes money, then you're kind of in the know already. It's kind of fixed, Nobody else is in the know. I mean, don't you think there should be like a program that comes on, your phone or something that buzzes and says, you know what, we're going to do this as politicians, and so we're going to put all of our money in here and make a lot of money, and you should too. That would be crazy, right? But wealth created by a lying tongue is a vanishing mist and a deadly trap. Yeah, there's always that repercussion. There's always that end of the line, And if it's not in this world, meaning it doesn't seem like you're facing the judgment of those decisions. Read Psalm 73, right? It's like, no, there is judgment that's going to happen. There's always, the shoe always drops, man. Wealth created by a lying tongue. So work on my honesty when it comes to creating money. Don't lie about it. Don't lie about that thing. Oh, that's not really messed up, and then you have someone buy something, but you're not honest about it. Right? You tricked them. The violence of the wicked sweeps them away because they refuse to do what is right. And this is the polarity of the Proverbs, right? The wicked and the righteous, right? Always going in that direction. Teaching the children, teaching the teenager, right? Teaching the young adult, hey, man, you act violently like the wicked, those that are, just practicing wickedness. You go that violent route. Man, it sweeps them away because they refuse to do what is right? Stuck in their anger. Maybe that's something you got to work on today, and I do. Just anger. Is that really something that bothers you? And it says, the guilty walk a crooked path. The innocent travel a straight road. That's kind of reminds me a little bit of Jesus's line, right? Where he says, hey, the road to righteousness is really narrow, and the path, to destruction is very wide, right? It kind of reminds me of that. The guilty walk a crooked path. When you're guilty in your heart, it seems like guilt moves us to even more bad decisions instead of really dealing with our guilt. To deal with your guilt properly is to go to the one who can forgive you. Read the book of Colossians if you've never done it. especially the first 2 chapters of Colossians. Wow. Sins are forgiven. Man, that is awesome. And it seems like everybody on the planet is trying to atone for their sin in some way. It could be through some political activism or something that they're into, right? Some thing that they're trying to push. But they're trying to atone for all the wrong in their life. We all are. They're trying to do good things too, what we're considering good, which might not be actually that good, but we're trying, it seems like. And we just continue to walk crooked paths. We need to be truly forgiven, forgiven thoroughly by someone who we've offended. And really that comes down to a big idea, and that is, who do I really offend with my sin? This is where King David had it right, and he knew that it was God who he offended. Ultimately, that he needed to come to God and be accountable before God. And that's why he asked God for such mercy all the time. He knew he needed mercy. It's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. Whoa, that sounds pretty sketchy, right? Man, you're home, you're in your house, but you got that quarreling wife, or let's just move it the other gender, right? A quarreling husband. But boy, man, someone who's just constantly going at you, right? Man, you don't do this right, you don't do that right, blah, 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 blah. That can be very difficult. It's better to live in a corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. Evil people desire evil. Their neighbors get no mercy from them. And that's true. If you've ever lived by someone who's just quarrelsome and, man, they are bent, right? Just super, upset all the time. And that can be a real bummer. If you punish a mocker, the simple-minded become wise. If you instruct the wise, they will be all the wiser. So kind of a cool proverb, right? You punish a mocker, the simple-minded become wise. Might work out good, right? And if you instruct the wise, they will be all the wiser. That's great. Becomes good. So it's good to, obviously, sometimes there's disciplines needed, instructions needed in life. There is a place. I know people don't like the idea of punishment, but man, it certainly moves us, right? Just the idea of pain and being uncomfortable. Wouldn't it be great if human beings could just be instructed and go the right way? But it seems like we don't do such a good job of that. Look at our world, right? Absolutely a mess, right? You'd think we'd be at peace by now after these thousands of years of working on it, but we can't seem to be at peace. Instead, we still yell, we still mock, we still put down, we're still violent, we're still not at peace, right? So sometimes we need that punishment, right? And then the simple-minded become wise, right? We start wising up. That's not a good road to go. Sometimes we get punished by our own decisions, right? We just get punished, because we, in a sense, walk into our judgment. You do a lot of drugs, right? And man, you get punished by that. It beats you down, no doubt. You drink a lot of alcohol, man, that will beat you down, And sometimes that's a punishment that happens in our bodies. So, yeah, it's good to think about that, right? The righteous one knows what is going on in the homes of the wicked. He will bring disaster on them. Wow. God knows what's going on in the homes of the wicked. He knows me. He knows you. You might go, oh, I cringe at that. Yeah, well, you know what? Just bring it to the Lord. That's the best thing to do. Hey, God, you know. And I'm just going to talk to you about it, because I'm not going to hide, That's what I don't want to do. because no one can hide from your presence. So it says, those who shut their ears to the cries of the poor will be ignored in their own time and need. Hey, we got to deal with how we feel about poverty. Sometimes we can get an idea of like, oh, those refugees, oh, this, and we can almost treat people just wrong. And whatever you think about the refugee, crisis and the issues with the borders, we have to realize that they're people. And we have to somehow, love people. And it doesn't mean that we don't want to change policy and deal with the issues that need to be dealt with. I agree with that 100%. That we need to do stuff about it. And you can't just have an open border. I totally understand that. But we have to realize when someone's here, and they're in your neighborhood, I need to love them, right? I need to care for them. I need to have some compassion. And that goes for people that are not so much refugees, or people trying to get out of a country, come here, but it could be just people living on, in a rougher part of town. It could be people that are even, what we call homeless, but I think it's more accurate to call street people. People that a lot of them have chosen to live just out in a wash. That can be frustrating, no doubt, for people, because it creates a real issue in a community that needs to be dealt with, no doubt. Hopefully the governor's doing something or things like that. And write your governor, talk. I try to communicate with ours all the time. But we have to learn to love with wisdom, right? And to be wise. Wise as serpent, gentle as a dove. I think that's what Jesus was saying. So, yeah, those who shut their ears to the poor, not good. The secret gift calms anger, and a bride under the table pacifies fury. So, I like that. A little gift, a secret gift calms anger. Some love, right? Some care, right? A bribe under the table pacifies fury. Ooh, when things are really chaotic. A bribe under the table. I like what it says there. It's like something secret, right? Something private. Dealing with someone in a private way. And maybe that's what it's getting at. The idea of that privacy. The secret gift, the bribe under the table. Something no one sees, but something you're doing, right? To try to help the situation. But it seems like it's done more in a private way. And so maybe I need to learn how, if I have an issue with someone, maybe I need to just take it up privately, right? And not talk to other people about it. It's a thought. It says, justice is a joy to the godly, but it terrifies evildoers. So justice is a joy to the godly, terrifies evildoers, right? I think of the old mob shows, man, those old film noir films with all the gangsters and stuff like that, right? And then there's the beautiful woman and all that stuff, 1930s and 40s, right? But, justice terrifies those mobsters, right? They don't like justice, man. It's always those cops, right? The Dick Tracy going after them. The person who strays from common sense will end up in the company of the dead. Consequences, right? To straying from just common sense, right? Reading the signs. Those who love pleasure become poor. Those who love wine and luxury will never be rich. And you can think, well, no, it seems like a lot of people who love wine and luxury get rich. But Solomon's just given out a good principle to his kid of that if you are growing up and all you're loving is alcohol, right, and riches, especially fast ways to get rich, right, man, you and a lover of pleasure, man, you are going to run into a lot of brick walls, right, and it seems like you'll never get there because you're all going about it the wrong way. It says the wicked are punished in place of the godly and traitors in place of the honest. So wicked are punished in place of the godly and traitors in place of the honest. So hey, work on being godly, work on being honest. It is better to live alone in the desert than with a quarrelsome, complaining wife. Wow, this wife thing, it just keeps coming up. Maybe Solomon had too many. Just a thought. The wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. So true. Whoever pursues righteousness and unfailing love will find life, righteousness, and honor. Right? So what am I pursuing today? Is it righteousness? Is it unfailing love? Right? And so those are things. God, help me to be faithful. Help me to love. Those kind of things. The wise conquer the city of the strong and level the fortress in which they trust. And that's true. Watch your tongue and keep your mouth shut, and you will stay out of trouble. Amen. Right? Too much talking. The Proverbs talk a lot about that. Too much chatting. Mockers are proud and haughty. They act with boundless arrogance. Right? Constant talking, constant thinking that they got it all together. Despite their desires, the lazy will come to ruin, and for their hands refuse to work. Again, on laziness. Some people are always greedy for more, but the godly love to give. Cool. That's something that should be a part of our lives. Giving. What's your giving like? How do you give? You've always heard that maybe time. What is it? Time, treasure, talent, something like that. I forget. I don't know. It's something like that. But, the idea of just giving is something that's hard for people sometimes to kind of go, oh, I need to work on that. But I think it's a great thing, man. I've learned over the years that learning how to give financially, even when you don't have a lot, really is good for the heart. It's good for the soul. Learning how to let go. And sometimes our finances are things we just don't want to let go of, So it says the godly love to give. They don't just give, but they love to give. And that's a cool attitude. Hey, God, help me be a cheerful giver, right? A hilarious giver, someone who loves to do it. The sacrifice of an evil person is detestable, especially when it is offered with wrong motives. So good. God, help us have our motives right when we serve you. Best way to serve the Lord is just do it unto the Lord, right? With the power he gives you, the grace he gives you. Unto the Lord, not for us, to him, right? And it says, a false witness will be cut off, but a credible witness will be allowed to speak. Sounds like a courtroom situation. The wicked bluff their way through, but the virtuous think before they act. Thinking before they act, right? Don't just bluff your way through something, but think, right, before you act. No human wisdom or understanding or plan can stand against the Lord. Wow. That's so true. He is the strong one, right? No human wisdom or understanding or plan can stand against the Lord. Nothing. It'd be really vain for me to think that I can. Sometimes, when we're growing up, we get cocky. We don't know God. And so we say things about the deity. We say things in a cocky manner about God. We think our tiny little brains on this tiny little planet knows everything. Super haughty. Our pride, it just oozes out of us as human beings. It's gross, right? If there's anything that we know for sure is that, as Blaise Pascal said, we are abominable. And that is absolutely a fact, right? We think we can, stand against the Lord. And this is what Armageddon's all about in the book of Revelation. People think they can stand before the Lord. And that's this kind of haughty pride coming out of us. The horse is prepared for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to the Lord. That's right. The victory belongs to the Lord, right? It's like you prepare, you get the rake out and you rake your front yard, right? But man, God is the provider. God is the blesser. That kind of idea. You gotta take out, the tool. You gotta prepare the horse. But the victory belongs to the Lord. God will sovereignly unfold the outcome. But we do our preparation. We're working alongside God. Very cool. God's doing his thing, and we get to participate in it. So I love that as well. Sometimes our brains go a little wacky on that. We go, well, what is it? Is it God doing it, or am I doing it? And the idea is both. Both are doing their things. The Lord is sovereign, and he weighs the hearts, and he knows the outcomes, and he has plans and purposes, and yet we are told to, saddle the horse, get things ready, prepare, gird up the loins of your mind. Whoa, gear up. And so, today's a good day to gear up. So it's a good day to think about that laziness, to think about our honesty, right? Let's think about our motives, right? That seemed to be a theme in 21. It's just the motives of our heart as well. So some cool stuff. Michael Rodriguez quotes Isaiah 55:8-9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Man, what a great passage, especially when it fits with some of these ideas of the sovereignty of the Lord in this passage. So yeah. Casey, that's hilarious. Your comment's funny. Oh gosh. I'm glad he didn't mean haughty. That's for sure. Paula, so good to have you in the devotion comment corner, and thanks so much for your encouragement always. Just absolutely awesome. Marcia, thanks again for joining. So Michael quotes again, apart from me, you can do nothing. So true. So true. So a great proverb, some very good things. Don't get rich quick. Don't seek to, go into those kind of, areas that are high risk. It seems like it's, warning us of that again. There's a bunch of good stuff here. So just look through it, throughout the day. And sometimes it's great just to get our eyes, on it, right? Just focused on it. That's the best thing, is just looking upward. So you guys take care. Have a good day. It's good to be back. Bye-bye.